Hi, folks. My name is Brian Fox. I'm from the Data Trust team at PwC. It's a pleasure to be talking to this audience as a group of innovators and data enthusiasts. I want to talk a little bit about the concept of data trust and the idea of having a data trust strategy. And what does that mean? Well, it means how you can trust the data you have, but more importantly, potentially, how consumers can trust you with their data and how regulators and the public can trust that you're a good steward of the public's data. And I want to break that down to try to convince you that a data trust strategy is the right way to think about folding yourself into the wider data estate at your company. So let's start with how you can trust your data. Now, many of you may be saying trusting your data has a lot to do with data quality and data lineage, and those are very important. But I want to take a step back and take a higher view. Think about how the data that you gather affects your broader data estate and how the data in the broader data estate can affect or benefit you. How well do you understand the structured data, unstructured data, and externally hosted data that your company has? Because out there in the public, there's a rising expectation that companies thoroughly know and can control their data. I think we've seen that both in public opinion as well as in the regulatory environment. If you look at privacy law and CCPA and GDPR, demanding that you be able to locate personal information across hundreds or thousands of systems, and certainly FINRA and SEC regulations related to certain kinds of documents that might be separated across numerous federated systems, and the demands of e-discovery have all sort of surfaced this idea that companies should just know where everything is and be able to pull any slice of it out as needed. So innovators like yourselves need data. So the question becomes, how can you innovate and gather data while minimizing risk and maintaining trust? And we think the approach to that is adopting a data trust strategy. So what are the 4 pillars of the data trust strategy, you may ask? Well, they are govern, discover, protect, and minimize. And I'm going to take you through each one of those. So what does it mean to govern? What it means is that data management is not just a technology exercise. You need to get all the stakeholders to the table. You have to have a cross-functional team that will help bring the risk, the business, and the consumer perspective to your innovation. So you want to bring your plans for innovation to that group, seek their help. And the other thing is we want to drive our IT departments and our IT strategy away from fragmented spot solutions that contain data in lots of places toward a strategy that has fewer, more capable repositories. That's a way to gain control and knowledge of your data over time. So let's move to discover. What does discover mean? It means know your data so you can control your data. It's time to incrementally build our knowledge about our data environments that include capabilities to understand application ecosystems, their contents, and by extension, be able to apply controls. And I understand the temptation to think of this as boiling the ocean, but to that, I would make 2 points. First, the technology has improved to the point where progress can be made. It's possible to get better without becoming perfect. Second, the expectations aren't going anywhere, and you're going to have to do it anyway. CCPA and GDPR are great examples of external factors that cause companies to build these capabilities for the first time, and more are coming. So what about protect? There's really no change in the criticality of data protection, but there is an expectation that you're using your enhanced knowledge of your data to focus your resources intelligently, and that pressure is going to continue to increase. And then what about minimize? Well, what I mean by minimize is that companies do not do a good job of distinguishing between high-value data and low-value data, especially in the unstructured side of the house. Further, companies retain way too much low-value data. I've had CIOs in front of me, and when I say to them things like, I bet you 80% of the data you've got is junk, things that are just presenting risk and not presenting any value. And I've never had a CIO tell me that they disagree. Purging low-value data defensively has enormous benefits from a risk perspective, along with providing innovators the opportunity to potentially unearth troves of potentially useful data that are out there buried amongst the chaff. So bringing these four pillars together, govern, discover, protect, and minimize, is a strong basis for demonstrating that you have knowledge and control over your data estate, which is the first step in building trust, not only for yourself, but for your consumers. So let's turn to the consumer perspective. How can consumers and the public trust you with their data? Before CCPA came out about a year ago, a survey was taken of California residents, and 87% rather, of the respondents said that given the chance to opt out of sale of their data, they would. And this reflects the popular belief that companies are just not good stewards of their data, and more importantly, that the consumer has no control over how their data is used. We really believe that we have to turn that around. We have to imagine a world where consumers opt in to these services. And I actually believe this could be achieved if we first show them that we're mindful of their rights under privacy law. We have to be able to respond to access and delete requests. We have to be able to isolate data that we have that relates to individual people, because those rights are only being increased in scope. Secondly, we have to demonstrate to consumers that we can excise them from advertising, audiences, and analytics on demand, because we've built that kind of power and capability directly into the analytical engines we're using. We should not be innovating on our own. We should be thinking about how to show consumers that their privacy has become part of how we're thinking about analyzing data. And then we have to convey the value that we're bringing to the consumer by being able to direct them to the things that they want and need but may not know about. If we can show the value, and we can show how we're good stewards of their data because we can design right into our systems the ability to respect their wishes and take them out, then we have the basis for real trust between consumers and companies on their data. And both of these objectives, or really all three of them, can be served by bringing the cross-functional team I talked about earlier into the innovation process and making delivery of trust itself one of the objectives of the effort. So in short, companies need to adopt a data trust strategy. We've got to gain control of the data estate and bring cross-functional risk thinking into the innovation process. This will help us not only be in a better position to defend how we use data, but it will drive better services that improve the customer experience while building trust. So enjoy the conference and enjoy tackling these tough issues. And I know my colleagues and friends to follow will give you even more ideas and insights to come. Thank you.